Evening YouTube again. We need to crack on with this bloody car, don't we? So let's go back to see what we're working on. Yeah, it's a dusty e36. We'll finish sometime, never project. Right, what we're gonna do. Again, just got a couple hours spare. So ages ago, I rebuilt all this side of the suspension, changed to the e36 M3 brakes, the floating rotor type. We went for some Porsche Boxster calipers. We refurbished all the M Sport suspension, and what I did do is I refitted and painted the old Apex lowering springs, which I think lowered it about 25mm if I'm correct. What I also did is we've changed the brake lines on here, fitted an uprated roll bar, which again you can see, yeah, like everything else is covered in sodding dust. But originally, reason I'm messing with the front end again is I'm going to tidy these rotors up, because that's a dying shame how much them bleeding things cost, and they're going a bit rusty. So we'll sort them out, and you can see the under seal. Originally when I started under sealing it and rust protecting, we went with black, but when we rebuilt the front we went to grey and then clear coated it. So I'm going to, as you can see I've already started, I'm going to redo or top coat the under seal and then clear coat it. Take this suspension leg off and fit the same matching springs we've got on the back, so they need to be swapped over again. So again, doing things twice, and finish under sealing all this arch and making that match the back. And what we will do also is, so you can see, let's get a torch on, is in there in the cavities we'll seam seal all around there again, just to make sure that's good. And we'll do what we did on the rear arch and seal it. We'll seam seal this lip, it goes all in there. Again, just like I did on the rear, just to stop all the shit and shite collecting up there. Not that this car should ever see any shit and shite, because I don't ever intend on getting it wet, but you know, while we've got it all off and it's accessible because liners out, we'll do that to match for, you know, a little bit of effort it takes. So yeah, let's get this back off, piss around with that, which means taking it off from top, taking the strut brace off, and just gently pissing around again. If Alphas want to drop me a sponsor and save me buying all their tools, they can do. It's like the go-to socket set for any old mechanic in it, but yeah, I can't fault these kits. There's my old one, which I got to put in the back of the car and we start off rolling again, but this is like the shiny garage one. So yeah, if anybody is looking for a decent socket set, the Alphas Advanced range is yeah, it's no snap-on shit, but I have never ever had an issue with any of this stuff. I had that kit for 8 years, which is like the 150 piece, where this is the 250, I think, which, yeah, the corners by counting on little sodding little shitty ends that we're never going to use. If I get this stripped down anymore, it's a pretty common mod that anybody, well, loads of people seem to do to e36s, but you'll see here there's the disc off an e46 M3. So this bolts straight on to the e36 hub. These are vented, have a look, big meaty disc, vented and floating rotor. So that's the ones I used on the front of them to upgrade, because everybody reckons the brakes are pap on these, so you know, it'd be daft not to change them while I, you know, spend the money on the standard set. I may as well spend a little bit extra and get some decent brakes on it. The calipers I used, they are Porsche 993 or the Boxster S ones. Again, Google that, loads of them come out. The only mod you have to do to get these to fit is, see this bracket here, that's an adapter bracket that you can get off eBay, and I think I've got these off Driftworks. They're not cheap, they're about £110. Once you've got the calipers, the standard Porsche ones, normally if you look on here on the standard set, there's kind of like a lip, which I think off memory was about 10mm, and you've basically just got to cut that off or machine it off to take that lip off, just so this bracket fits, and then it bolts straight onto the standard hub and fits to these e36 M3 rotors, which are, you know, nice and big, weigh a bloody ton. So again, we'll get this stripped off, get a spring on. A little mod that point out what I did is, you can see the blue, those are H&R uprated roll bars, so they're a thicker bar with the poly bushers. You might be able to see under here, so I'll get bloody torch out. There's Powerflex front arm bushers, the polyurethane ones. Bought new arms, so they're all fresh. I think I need to look at the drop links as well, so I can get some polybush ones for those. And that's all I've done on the front so far. And then just refreshed and painted everything. Although even though this was done, what, 2 years ago, still got a little bit of surface rust, so I'll give all this a clean up and then stick it all back together once we've finished prepping all this arch. All boring stuff, but you know, it's got to be done. Right, quick job. What we'll do is try and stop these rusting again. See what I've done there is we'll give them some bit of rust inhibitor. That'll just dissolve the surface rust, and I'll buff them up and clean them because they're looking a bit crusty. Bring in the old sock. They'll like do the magic, and then it's a quick buff, shine, and they'll look as good as new. Well, we'll bloody hope so and see what they'll turn out. But all these shitty little pissy ass jobs. Shocks off. Not as bad as I thought it were going to be. There's everything disconnected on there, so we'll get all that cleaned up, sprayed, and make that look all fancy and nice, and then we'll get the old bugger off again. Why not just replace these when I bought it? Probably me being a tight ass. So yeah, being a tight ass means you just spend twice as long pissing around doing things twice, so lesson learned, I think. But yeah, the front is back in pieces again. But you can see under there, that's the old bit we under sealed and seam sealed before, but we'll just get that top coat and make that look pretty. Front's off, and the job I will do, so I'm not doing this twice again, is rub this down, treat this. God knows when we'll get that colour from. I might have to do a bit of research so see if we can match this sort of grey up, because we'll rub that down, spray this without obviously touching over those original stickers, but yeah, we'll have a bit of rust. Don't I know how to make exciting videos? So what we're going to be using here, what we have been using here, so we're going to use etch primer, which is on the lip, to kind of eat into the paintwork, well into the metal. That gives us a good base. We'll then give it a normal primer on top of that, and then on the lip that I mentioned before, going to do some seam sealer. I'm sure there's better on the market. What is that tub? That was like £14.5 for a kilogram of it, so you know, might need a bit more of that. Then once all that's done, we'll give it a top coat of stone chip, which is what I've been using on all the rear to get it grey. And then a clear coat, which is just your normal lacquer. Again, not sure how long that's going to last or what it's going to look like, but you know, hey ho, we'll give it a bash. So they're the main bits we'll be using. So now it's all sanded down and clean, and I've already put a coat of etch primer on, which you can see. I'll let that go off, carry on with underneath it here, get all that stone chipped, and we can leave that to go, and hopefully that'll mean the etch primer's dried, so we can give that another coat, I say, and then start putting the seam sealer all around there. Fun, eh? So stone chip stuff I'm using, again, if this was, you know, as I brought the car, probably wouldn't be putting this on, but I did, when I first got it, stripped this out like I did with the back, took it back and got all the existing sealer off, and then it's been primered, and then it's been under sealed, which was like the spray under seal, so it's kind of solid. But again, it's basically this bit in black, but obviously we're going to grey and then clear coat it. So again, give me up some shit, people tell me this is not probably the best idea, but again, gives a good finish. Once it's clear coated, it looks pretty good, or I think it looks pretty good. We don't really have to do anything with this because it's already treated. Like I say, it's already been done once and primered. So we'll just go over it with the grey stone chip, which is the hammerite stuff, and then yeah, clear coat it and then start bolting everything back together for the second time. Right, we've got all that coated up, shiny, yeah, so we'll let that go off and then I'll give that a clear coat, which you can see. Yeah, again, could have gone down the route of Raptor coating and all that stuff and buzz weld or whatever it's called, but again, you know, we've started, so we'll finish. So I did all sort of the lip of the arch, easy as to see, get torch on. So it's all done behind there, so at least that gives it a, like I say, it'll have a couple of coats and that gives it a bit of protection and stop the shitty rust getting back in. There you go. A little bit more done. So we've got all the arch masked up, masking tape. All the inside has been coated. Left that to dry and then that's clear coated. You can see on the, so we can get a better view. You can see right on the edge of the lip. That's all done with seam sealer. It looks a bit like I've spread a tire on in a minute, but yeah, as soon as that's dried, we can get that sanded down, and then that'll look like the rear one. So let me just show you anyway. I'm not sure you can see it, but if you look on, you know, where my finger is, that's what it should look like at the front, which is like a really smooth sort of stepped effect. But obviously underneath that, that's all the seam seal, so that's going to give it loads of protection from stopping any rust more starting, any stone chips, and yeah, that should the front done. So once that's dried, get that rubbed down, then it'll get another coat of primer to smooth it off, and then that's ready for when well, probably about 4 years time when we get this bloody finished and we can get out to see some proper paint on it. But yeah, that's that bit done. Shock, just touch that up where we've chipped there. Same with sort of like the top mount. But yeah, we'll give this a few more minutes and we'll get that put back together, and then I think that's going to be it for tonight because there's not much you can do till all that lovely stuff's dried and we start putting it all back together. So yeah, thanks for watching. Please leave some comments. Be good for you to give me some shit. Tell me what you think of the videos. We'll try and improve these, and yeah, I've got a new camera coming on the way, so that might, you know, give a bit better effect. I'll be filming on my iPhone. It might be more entertaining for you guys. But yeah, please like and subscribe, and thanks again. I lied, it's not the end. Thought I'd do a bit more. You know, just get in the zone, you're in the garage and you think there's no fucking way I'm just walking out and it's half done. So that's the front shock, fully built up, top mount's back on. I have come to an end now because I'm also just touching up the strut mount sort of top on the chassis because a little bit of rust around the bolts, like I said before, so I've just sanded those down, get some smedge primer on it, and then once that's dried I can get like a top coat of primer on, because I have found the primer that I'm using is pretty much identical match to the sort of coat on the engine bay. So hopefully once I've blended that in and sanded it in, you won't be able to tell, but it's really just to get rid of those rusty bits there. So we're getting there. So hopefully I'll just be able to line this up, put it back underneath, and then kind of get it bolted to the back together, and we'll check it another night. But yeah, so that is the end now because it's well late. So thanks again for watching. I say, stick us some comments, please subscribe, it means a lot, and yeah, give me some shit, and I will see you in the next boring, exciting e36 build. He's getting there. I've just kicked all the bloody bolts over, but right, laters.